Secondly,
Okay.
what do you want to talk about on the show?
I think what did I write? I wrote that the sentiment and hate around LCS has blown out of proportion, and it's akin to the same people crying out about NA residents and academy, while the analytics don't support the arguments at all. Now, I know that there's a lot of different dramas going on, but as someone that was probably labeled as like a negative LCS persona alongside like Dom and Doublelift and Meteos and Sneaky, right? All the co-streamers always being negative. I've felt like this is the best year that LCS has had thus far.
Wow.
So, when you say that,
did you see that they couldn't even get the players to play on stage on last Friday?
Tech issues apparently never happen. True.
So why do you think this
on
is
my
the best?
side?
So I actually have a Kit Kat counter on LEC because I'm trying to calculate how many kilograms of fat you would gain if you had a Kit Kat every time LEC asked you, and I think we're at 24 Kit Kats.
That's amazing.
So
yeah, I do wonder if as their viewership has slipped, they need additional impressions, and so they're just taking these pauses now to increase Kit Kat breaks. That's actually such a good idea.
So when you say the LCS is better than it has been in recent years, are you talking more about like gameplay and like interest around teams and stuff, or are you talking broadcast? What are you talking?
I think the stage looks really, really nice. I think the stage is it helps get immersive in watching. I think the segments that they did, like I was a really big fan of the Cutie Cinderella segment. I was very upset in chat last week at that one caller that had that take about Cutie Cinderella. I think the direction of going that route in a lot of ways is good. I like the segments that actually integrate the actual players in between these breaks that they've never done before. They'd have like one-offs or two-offs, like one or two players, but never full-blown segments on the actual players. And so this is all really good. It even helps. It's very noticeable as a co-streamer who's been very pessimistic. And even as someone who's like borderline burned out, right? LCS is almost like a relief to watch, which I think is a massive an uptick. But it just seems like there's this, the Reddit narrative, the Reddit outcry, where people will try to convince you that something's happening that's not.
Is it better than LEC?
What about LEC?
I was saying, is LCS better than
Drama
LEC?
Frog Travis?
You said it's a relief to watch, and you're burned out. So I'm curious if you're like, oh man, I have to watch LEC, I have to watch all these things, and then you get to LCS, and you're like, finally, LCS, a cool, refreshing drink.
Yeah, I mean, LCS is just it's good flow right now, and there's enough fun storylines, even with like some of the bottom teams that have like big name players that are losing. Like Dignitas completely floundering about, like that's fun. That there's like big names on a losing team. There's like Team Liquid trying to figure out what's going on. You have everything going on with CLG. I mean, LCS is interesting in that regard. It's not just four teams right now, especially with like TL struggling. So for me, LEC is still the most fun to watch, but I think that's the nature of the LEC format. That there's something on the line literally every game for those first 3 weeks. Yeah. But LCS is good. LCK is actually my third. It's my third right now. And that was never the case.
And you think that's probably also due to the strength of these regions, right? Where LEC is probably the best region, LCS very close, LCK the third best region, and then LPL far in the back, right?
No doubt.
He's a true analyst. He would never power rank them on anything but their skill, Travis.
Yeah.
I like this take. I appreciate it. Obviously, so it on the broadcast. I feel like the like, oh, how different is LCS is even still debated. Like some people still say like, oh, this isn't any different because, and we were talking about this during the retro, but like, or we have retro meetings. I feel like a lot of people who are on Reddit are like the most diehard fans, and they're the ones who also watch like the waiting room pre 30 minutes and then like the post show time. And those, I will admit, are rather similar to last year, where there's like 4 analysts talking. But the between game segments are the ones where we have all these like weirder ideas coming your way. And I'm so mad that we had this like thing, the audio issue, because we had a segment that you probably would love. We have this thing called like whatever. It's just a computer that can plug into like the telestrator. And we're just like, fuck it, let's just do VOD reviews with pros, you know? So we had it set up so that we could actually just get into the spectator client. And like, instead of like pulling segments and like having them run as B-roll packages, we were just going to have like a 10-minute post game with a pro, just like doing a VOD review segment. And we're so down to just use pros more and find the most interesting ways to try and get them to talk about it. And like, we're going to constantly keep trying to do stuff like this between the games. It is one of the things that we're most focused on this year. One of the big pillars is attach fans to players and teams, and featuring their analysis. That's a really
innovative concept.
Yeah, that, and it's a pretty good idea. But it's a more focused goal of, like, when you say a pillar, like, obviously that's always a goal. But when it's like, if you have a segment that isn't doing that, we try to cut them now, as opposed to being like, that's fun.
Yeah.
People might keck W at that, and then you're like, you move on. But now it's like, well, it doesn't matter. It really farms some kecks in chat. It's like, did it do anything? And so if we can show off how funny they are, or if they have like interests that they like we're going to be doing more things like that.
Well, and I think LS, like, I assume, because you were saying as a co-streamer, like, they've turned on co-streaming for a lot of people and it's on all the time. Yep. And I assume this new content is probably even better for co-streamers, because before it's like, you can either watch Mark and the Circus talk about the games while the co-streamer's also talking about the games, but here there's like unique content where you can tune in and you can hear, like, for that VOD review thing, you could be like, oh, it's interesting that like they had this idea and I thought they were doing this, or blah, blah, blah. Like, it actually gives you guys something more to hook onto rather than, I don't know, just talk to chat.
Yeah, that's all true too. I mean, there's a lot more engagement even in the downtimes that actually, I think people that at one point didn't care, like the co-streamers, I don't think are the majority, right, of the viewers and whatnot. But what I do think is that there's a very large percentage of people that watch the co-streamers for a specific reason. So I think that, and I can't speak for the other co-streamers right now, but I think that like when certain co-streamers are being more positive towards everything, I think it actually really does say something, especially if we've been hailed as being mostly cynical or negative, right, the last couple of years. So it makes me feel bad seeing a lot of like the same kind of drama unfold on Reddit these last few weeks over certain things that I feel like analytically doesn't actually translate into anything. And it's just like people have to take mental blows and it's almost for naught. It just feels really brutal. Like, for instance, the unprofessional LCS segment Reddit thread where like Jackie Felling jumped in and wrote a response. And then the amount of people that just dogpile her is insanity. And it's like, as someone that has dealt with this many, many, many times, right? I literally live in this industry and understand what Jackie's trying to do and what this feels like. There's nothing that she actually could have said to appease them. I feel like their mind, people that are willing to go into that thread, read her comment, make a reply, etc., their mind is already made up. And I like, when I talk about stuff like this on my stream, I liken it to the people who join in on like riots in America because lawlessness is like allowed. And so it's just people wanting to be malicious because they're seemingly allowed to be malicious and there's something to be malicious about. But otherwise, these people just wouldn't care.
Yeah, I think.
And I feel like,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I do think that there's like a concentrated group of people who take kind of like a weird pleasure in the LCS suffering, maybe because they're frustrated for a number of different reasons, and so then they're kind of like rooting against it. And to your point, I think, you know, if you are a fan of the LCS and you are liking things that they are doing, like using your voice to celebrate those moments is actually something that can really help the people on the broadcast and the people working on the product, because I know people are trying really hard to make the LCS better. And and I think it's probably really hard whenever you just, you know, to Mark's point, like whenever everything just constantly feels like it's failing, you're just like, oh, can we not just get a win, you know?
Right.
Yeah, even the like, I understand why some people are upset, like whether it's the time change and suddenly you can't watch LCS anymore and you're happy to, when something goes wrong, dogpile on it. Like, I understand where those feelings are coming from some of that stuff. But for the people who are watching, to Travis's point, and enjoying it, yeah, the positivity boost does help.
Yeah. No, I think this means a lot coming from you, LS, because I think a lot of people have, whether or not fair or not, they have sort of felt as though you were a skeptic of the product. And so to hear that you think that it's gotten so much better and all that stuff, and are even frustrated with the sentiment from fans, I think is probably really good to hear for a lot of people. So,
yeah, time to pitch my producers on getting LS on the show. You can call in from Korea, and we'll figure out a whack segment for him to do.
That would
wonderful,
be cool.
wonderful.
Yeah, you should come out. Thank you so much, LS.
Fly out.
Might be soon.
Why not? Why not?
Who knows?
Bring him out.
No, I might legitimately be soon. So,
Ooh.
That would be cool. I mean, I think a lot of people would enjoy the idea of you popping on for a day as a guest, similar to. How good are you at decorating cakes?
Decorating cakes? What?
Just run the Cutie Cinderella thing back.
just pretend it's the same bit with LS.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Yeah.
And for that one time, it's a reoccurring segment. It's not just Cutie Cinderella's. All right, thanks so much. Go ahead.
Can I add an asterisk here?
Yeah.
So I do want to say though that like the whole TSM thing was really I said live on my co-stream, I was in shock, and I thought that was like a lawsuit waiting to happen from TSM. So it doesn't mean that like everything going on, but I think it's really weird the way that people tried to go at individual people following that. That was really weird to me, because I've been in those Riot meetings. I know the layers that things have to go through and everything else. But it was really weird that some people were being scapegoated individually. That it came really hard down on Jackie and others and stuff. And yeah, that whole segment was fucking weird. I actually thought TSM would be the ones first up in arms. But yeah, just the asterisk there, so people don't think I'm blindly defending everything that happened or whatnot.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to shout out before we
wait? Actually, LS, can we have you hang on for the like a couple minutes of the next caller, because they had a LCK take and I only have been half watching, so you would be much more equipped. All right, hold on.
Yeah.